Hi again everyone, hope you're well. Welcome to the video on e-commerce promotion. So again, this will form part of the e-commerce unit, and for most units it is a merit criteria, but certainly one that you should all be giving a go at. So basically e-commerce promotion is all about how you would go about promoting your website, because ultimately if you don't promote your website, no one will ever visit it, and of course that's not good news for anyone. So first thing to start off with is SEO, search engine optimization. Really important. You've got to remember that Google or other search engines are probably going to be one of your most likely streams of getting people onto your website. People are becoming less and less patient, even more so than a few years back. I can't see that trend stopping anytime soon, but you need to find a way to get your website at the top of all these search engines, and one of the ways you can do that is through the use of search engine optimization. So basically this all comes down to the way the website is coded. So the websites are made out of a number of various different languages, but primarily if you start off with HTML, hypertext markup language, then you've got CSS, cascading style sheet, so that makes it look nice. The HTML structures the website, the CSS makes the website look nice, and you may also have things like JavaScript in there which start to make the website do things. So there are various different things that you can talk about here, such as meta tags. So meta tag is a way for a web designer to actually specify what type of content is within their website. So that will make it easier for search engines to find and potentially increase your positions in the rankings. You've got keywords. So let's say, for example, your website is about food, and you start talking about things like recipes or whatever it might be within that website, then that's going to be picked up by Google's algorithms. Sorry, I keep using Google as but it's by far the most popular search engine out there. If you're not high up in Google, you're probably going to not get an awful lot of traffic coming, especially from that way. Alt tags. So if you have content within your website that for whatever reason could be turned off, for example an image, you may use alt tags to help describe the content that's there. Again, that is going to be picked up by search engine algorithms, and of course quality and relevant content, which is the most important thing here, because ultimately the search engines, their algorithms are becoming more and more kind of clever at spotting things like, because people used to spam the meta tags and as a way for them to get higher up the search engine results, but these days the algorithms are better at picking that up, so therefore you need to do things like having simply better quality content. So I just wanted to show you kind of an example of that. So I'm going to go here, which is just a website from Jamie Oliver. It's just a simple dish, and all I'm going to do is right click and do view source. Now you can do this on any website, and what's being delivered here is quite a lot of mumbo jumbo. Don't try and understand that stuff just yet. However, if you scroll down just a little bit, you can start to see things in there like your meta tags here. Okay, so here you've got the name of the meta tag and then what is actually the content of that meta tag. So this will tell the search engine the content of this page. So there's a lot, for example, of Jamie Oliver here, as a very famous chef. People would literally do searches just for Jamie Oliver, and then if you kind of link it maybe in with the pasta pepperonata, then you've got quite a decent kind of combination there and a good kind of hope to get yourself found. There's a lot of other stuff in here which you guys may or may not understand or want to understand or know. So when I talk about things like CSS, you can't actually see the CSS in this page. It's going to be linked to an external sheet. See if I can find it. I'm not going to spend very long on this because ultimately I want to cover other bits. all this HTML here looks quite difficult. Actually, it's basic list. Okay, I can't see it for now, but if you want to have a look and actually try and find it, then by all means. Now, going back into the PowerPoint here, there are other things that you can try as well to help promote your site. Now, you've got to remember that this spec was made in 2012, so and even then it would have been based on things older than that, so therefore some of the stuff coming up is quite old hat really. You've got pop-ups and banners. So a pop-up is where you're busy doing whatever you're doing on the site, and all of a sudden you get a little pop-up going, hey, come and view my content. They are really annoying, or at least that is what most people think. In the around the turn of the century, pop-ups were a bit of a nuisance, and but these days, I don't know about you guys, but I get very few pop-ups when I'm browsing the web. The web browsers do quite a good job of blocking pop-ups these days. However, on the flip side, it's actually very easy to make a pop-up. It's a little bit of JavaScript, and you can just kind of make it action whenever a user performs a certain action. So it may be, if you put your mouse over an image on the website, then something will pop up. A banner could be something as straightforward as a picture or an animation or whatever it might be. Probably a clickable part of the web page, because then you turn it into a hyperlink. A lot of them will be clickbait. You got to be quite careful, obviously, of a number of them, because if you have loads of banners going around the website, it's going to look pretty naff. And also, they do need to be of good quality, because if it doesn't look good quality, then why would the user think that your site is going to be good quality? Okay. Now, unlike the pop-ups, the banners are less likely to be turned off. Okay, you can turn off images in any web browser, but it's unlikely to happen. But you're guaranteed that it's going to show, but you just need to be careful of how many and where you place these. Direct marketing is the biggest area here. So this is basically your traditional forms of marketing, such as TV, radio, magazines. TV is going to be the most expensive, but the largest potential audience, and the scale usually reflects that. So the larger the TV show is, so for example, Game of Thrones is likely to be very expensive to advertise on. I have no idea how much it actually is, but it's a very, very well watched TV show, and it's going to cost you a lot of money to do it. If you're looking at print, you do need to be mindful about the type of media that you potentially would actually advertise on. So for example, newspapers such as the Sun and the Mail are known for being quite hard right-wing, so conservative in other words, and they are at times extremely sensationalist. So for example, some of the stories that they'll run will be of a certain taste, let's put it like that. And you have the opposite in terms of the Mirror, which is left-leaning. But you do need to be mindful of okay, what type of image is your website trying to portray here? If you're trying to portray some kind of a conservative style website, then that may be the one for you, or maybe a more traditional type of audience, because the guys that read the Mail tend to be that bit older, for example. You do have to be careful with newspapers, because more and more people are doing it online, and that's only going to increase. I can't see that decreasing anytime soon. I know that, for example, the readership of the Mail has dropped by over 50% in the last few years. It was only over a couple of million to begin with, so it's quite a lot. Social media, so there's lots of these, and again, I can't see this dropping anytime soon. However, it will develop, and there will be different types of social media 2 or 3 years down the line than what they are now. However, ones that you can certainly talk about now, things like news groups, discussion forums, you've got blogs there, so this could be either through the use of a video, or it could be someone just simply recording, a bit like I'm doing now, although this isn't necessarily a blog, but it's really easy to do. Content sharing through things like YouTube. It's by far, one of our biggest growth areas in terms of the way that you can market stuff. Now, when I've got things like organic, or when I'm talking about things like organic here, basically it will come naturally through things like word of mouth, through things like people saying good things about your website or your service that you've provided to them, or the quality of products, etc. That's organic kind of growth, because the company aren't doing it themselves. Now, it may require a time sink on your part, because things like YouTube channels or actual kind of news groups and so on, these don't appear these don't come out of nowhere. They take time to develop, so therefore it's going to take a bit of effort on your part in order to get this up and running. However, it will probably cost an awful lot less than other methods. Now, one thing you will also find is content could be an issue in terms of what users could put on there, because if some person is putting their own opinions on, then they might not be what you want. So, for example, they may put a complaint on there, or they may put views which don't reflect those from your company. So, you will need to moderate some of these. In some cases, it's not possible for you to do that. You just need to be very, very careful about it. But, like I said, social media is a good way to kind of interact with your customers, and certainly a good way to promote, because you've always got to remember that I don't know about you guys, but certainly if I'm looking for a new product and I see positive reviews on a social media site, then I will actually kind of take that into consideration almost more than the product's main selling points. If it's trying to sell itself, I'll probably kind of look at that and think, oh. But when I actually see someone else say, oh yeah, the product really does do this, I'll take that a bit more seriously. Spam, it's in the spec, okay? So ultimately we will need to cover it. Spam emails, very easy to produce, and just all you do is write your email out and you just hit send to this mailing list. Now, obviously, they go to a large number of people very, very quickly. It's not really viewed particularly well. Most people do not read spam emails. It's good web and email servers do a good job of filtering these days. They're personally not something that I would spend a lot of time on. There's a lot of negative thoughts going around about spam. So for example, the long lost relative phishing attempt where they apparently have 140 million to send you, but all you have to do is provide details of your credit card. Now, while in the past people may have done this, people are a bit more savvy to it these days. Accessibility. Now here we're talking about things like the quality of coding, because that will impact on your position of the site, things like search engines. But also, here you've got issues such as you've got a lot of people who have colour blindness, adding in transcripts for those who cannot hear. While it may not be a direct form of promotion, ultimately if your website doesn't have as much accessibility as other ones out there, people simply won't use it. And there are a lot of people who have some kind of disability out there, including myself. Obviously I'm short-sighted, so if I go onto a website and I can't see what's on it, I don't use it. It's that straightforward. Right, so I'll quickly kind of blitz the main points there, but what we're looking for from you is to do a written task in this example, and obviously this is for my students. Your own tutor may ask you to do it differently if you're looking at this from elsewhere. What we're looking at here is describing how businesses use e-commerce to promote their business, and or how do you go about promoting your website. So what I'm looking for you is, there are 6 areas that I've just covered. and you should be discussing each one, and you should have at least a couple of hundred words on each. Remember, you've got to look at things like who, what, why, where, when, things like cost, things like ease of implementation, all of this stuff, and you should easily get there. Remember to source all your stuff. Okay. Hopefully that has helped you out. I shall see you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe if you get the chance. Thank you. Bye bye.